Hey y'all, welcome to my video about how I spent what I think I might be calling my winter budget. This year for budgeting, I decided to do a seasonal spending structure. So I spent a little budget that I set for myself at the beginning of January, and now I'm on a no buy and I'm not going to buy anything else for myself until the beginning of April. So I guess January is the winter budget, April is the spring budget, July is going to be the summer budget, and then September will be the fall budget. That is it. It is really seasonal. It's matching up with the seasons. So I'm just going to tell you everything about that's it. And then at the end of the video, I'll let you know how my little no buy is going. Spoiler alert, it's going amazing. I love being on a no buy. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Hannah. I love beautiful things, but I don't want to buy them indiscriminately. So I'm always trying to figure out how to best structure my budget and structure my life so that I make good decisions and love what I own. If that sounds good to you, I hope you'll subscribe. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. Many of you already know this, but I'm just going to do a brief recap in case anyone's watching who doesn't know this. In 2018, I did a no-buy year to break myself of the habit of overspending. I just wanted to have like a detox from shopping and kind of have a chance to reset my brain chemicals as they relate and react to the acquisition of new things. So that was 2018. And then in 2019, I did my first ever yearly budget. And I did that monthly. So I had a yearly budget, but I broke it down monthly. I was only allowed to spend a certain portion of my yearly budget every month. And then last year I did just like one yearly budget. I tried to moderate month by month, even though I hadn't put a rule in place that said that I couldn't spend past like a month's worth of budget. And I ended up doing it kind of wonky. I ended up spending like a ton of my yearly budget all at once and then essentially not buying anything or really not buying much for like months and months at a time. And I actually kind of liked that. I did like the feeling of doing like one shopping moment, like 1 month of deciding what I wanted and getting it all. And then I liked the relief of being on a tacit no buy because, I didn't have to think about if I was going to buy anything. And every time something occurred to me that I kind of wanted, I would just automatically be like, nope, I'm not going to buy that right now because I already spent too much of my budget. So I decided to formalize that this year. So that is what I'm doing formally this year as the structure. As I said in the introduction, I'm just having a little spending season. I'm trying to kind of keep it to like a week or 10 days each time. And then for all of the days and months in between, I'm on an official no buy. So my winter shopping season was essentially the first week in January. I was hoping to keep it just to a week, but I hadn't made all of my decisions by the end of the week and I wasn't gonna, really stress out about it or force myself to rush. Like there's no reason to do that. A week, 10 days, the first part of the month, that's the general idea. And, I'm much more about the way that the concepts encourage me to make good decisions than I am about the exact hard and fast rules when it comes to finding a way to live with balance going forward. So all told, it was like about 10 days. I did feel a little bit rushed because I started the year and then I immediately went into this little shopping season. If I had it to do over, I'd probably place that week in the middle of the month or maybe even at the end of the month, but it was totally fine as it was. I liked the idea of doing the first week of January and then the first week of April and like having it exactly spaced out. And that's why I ended up doing what I did. However, the first thing that I actually purchased right at the end of the year. I actually allowed myself to do something a little bit in advance before the year rolled over. And it's because there was something that I knew that I wanted and that I knew that I wanted more than anything else I might buy because it's something that it's a different color of something that I already have in 2 colors. And the 2 colors that I have are some of my most worn garments. So it's this very fine merino wool long sleeve shirt from COS. I have it in black. And then last year, I also bought it in like a striped colorway during one of their sales at the physical shop. And it came out in this beautiful beige color this year. And it was released after I had spent all of my budget. So I couldn't technically buy it in 2020. And as we got closer to the end of the year, I was more and more thinking, oh my gosh, it might still be in stock in 2021. I might be able to spend some of my winter budget on it. And that would be so exciting because I knew that it was a really practical purchase for me and would be really satisfying. It just checked all of the boxes and I had no stress about it, no question about it in my mind. I just didn't want to buy it like in the middle of October, in the middle of December, when I didn't really have any budget to spend. That's like against my nature. But as we crept ever closer to the actual date on which I would technically be allowed to start spending my winter budget, and this was still in stock and still in stock, I started to feel more and more like, because I was going to buy it like as soon as the clock turned over onto the 1st of 2021, it didn't make much of a difference to buy it a couple of days early. And I started to get worried that it was going to sell out, because with COS, when things go on sale, they sell out almost immediately. And every other color of this had gone on sale during the holiday season, and they had all sold out immediately. So I was keeping an eye on the site, and I said to myself, if this doesn't go on sale, I won't buy it. I'll wait. If it doesn't go on sale, I'll just wait until January 1st and that'll be fine. But I was like, if I check the site and it's, there's just a couple days left in the month and it goes on sale, I'm going to buy it because I just know that it'll sell out within the day. And then it'll have just been the strictness of my rules keeping me from spending part of my January budget on the thing that I really, truly want. So indeed, that is what happened. It was like the last 2 days of the year or something. It was like after Christmas. It went on sale and I just went ahead and bought it. And actually it did sell out just within a couple of hours. So I feel like it was the right decision. And I'm kind of proud of myself for not being so obsessed with like the exact rules that I like disallowed myself from actually buying the thing that I actually wanted with my budget. So I technically bought it on one of the last days of the year in 2020, but the money came out of my winter budget. It came out of my little January budget that I set for myself. This is what the top looks like. I've already worn it on camera. It's great. I'm really glad that I bought it. I feel like the arms are a little bit shorter in this year's version. And I also feel like the fabric is just a little bit less robust. It has a little bit more of that slippery, soapy feeling. It doesn't feel quite like the exact same design and the exact same quality as my others, but I will still get as much use out of it. I really love a thin, fitted, but very warm, because it's made out of merino wool, long sleeve tee. It's like one of my favorite things. So that's one thing that I had been eyeing. And there's another thing that I had been eyeing as we edged closer to the new year. I had been eyeing the work of this beautiful artist who does tie-dye, like one-of-a-kind tie-dyed pieces, and sells them on Etsy. The shop is called Billet Doux Apparel. This is the t-shirt that I purchased. And I've already worn it on camera and talked about it on camera. I just love it. I absolutely love it. It's perfect. It's beautiful. It kind of reminds me of Galaxies. I like that it's kind of got this peachy, grungy pink going on. I keep wanting to wear it every single day. It's a little bit too nippy because it's a t-shirt. It's like a men's large, just plain cotton tee. And so, I love the fit of that. It's like a slightly oversized, slouchy fit. Just absolutely beautiful. And here's something that's really cool. Annie, who's the name of the woman who owns the shop and who made this by hand, I follow Billet Doux Apparel on Instagram. So after I filmed the video in which I was wearing this, when I talked about it the first time, I sent her the link. I was like, hey, just so you know, I like talked about your work in a YouTube video. And she, the next week, sent me a little thank you package. And in it were these oversized scrunchies. This is just one of them. There were 3 of them, but I gave one to Julia and I gave one to Julia's baby, who, I live in the house with my friends, Julia and Oliver and their baby, and my boyfriend, Joe. We all live here together. So there were 3. So there was one for each of the girls. So this is the one that I kept. Annie made these and she had a little note in there that was like, hey, Hannah, before I was doing the tie-dye, I was making giant scrunchies. Thank you so much. From Annie. And she also included a little hand-dyed tie-dye tote. And I'm mentioning it just to tell you that she's a sweetheart. And it was such a sweet, surprise. I don't think she's selling the scrunchies. Like, it's not like it's PR or something, you know what I mean? She just sent them to me as a thank you. But it drove home to me how much of an impact it makes, how much further my dollar went when I bought this shirt than it did when I bought this, for example. You know what I mean? This, I was just like buying from COS. And with this one $38 purchase, it makes a tremendous difference to someone like Annie who's making a living as an artist. And that was me. I started my clothing business, my Tango clothing business on Etsy. And I remember when I started it just being like, gosh, it means so much to me, so much to me when someone chooses to buy a skirt from me instead of buying a skirt from H&M. When someone chooses to buy a top from my Etsy shop instead of just, going to the mall and picking up a top. Like, it literally meant the world to me. Like, it meant my sustenance. It meant my continuing to be able to do my work. And I was just, when I heard from Annie and when she sent me this thank you gift, it just reminded me of how meaningful it is. And it made me want to renew my efforts to, whenever I can, to buy from individuals instead of corporations. Which, for the rest of my clothing purchases with my little budget at the beginning of the month, I mostly did. I mostly bought from Poshmark. I didn't buy anything else handmade, but buying from Poshmark, buying something that's being resold by someone, something secondhand, that's also buying from an individual, even if the individual didn't make the thing. And for all the rest of the clothes that I purchased, that's what I did. But before I tell you about them, I want to tell you about the other two things that I purchased that aren't clothing, because it was really a lot of clothing, this little haul. But there were two other things that were kind of nagging at me as we got towards the end of the year, things that I wanted to buy, but I waited. And then when it was finally time, when my budget was available to me, I bought them right out of the gate. And one thing is a kind of practical organization thing. It's a little cart that is really skinny and tall, but not so tall that it doesn't fit underneath my vanity. It's really skinny. I'm actually going to hold it up for you. It's sort of awkward, but I'll hold it up. So in the top, I only have flat stuff and little tubes of things because it fits just under my vanity. It like slides right under, so I can't keep any of the tall jars up here because it wouldn't fit. In the second shelf, I have all the tall jars of skincare that I'm currently using. This is like my in-use skincare. And on the bottom shelf, I have things like my brow dye, my hair care products, things that I don't use as frequently. And then it has these little clips on the end, so I'm able to hang like a little washcloth here. And this is great because I end up not reaching for things that are disposable. I like use this over and over again to like wipe my face off, clean up messes until it's really dirty, and then I wash it and switch it out for another one. There's another little hook down here, and I usually hook on there my headband that I use to get my hair out of my face. I really thought long and hard about this purchase because buying furniture when you're like living in your friend's dining room after having to move out of your apartment during the pandemic is not really the thing. Like, our furniture is almost all in storage. And so it was weird to buy a little item of furniture when this is my situation. But I really, really wanted to get my skincare off of my vanity. I feel like I reach for my skincare just like once a day in the morning and then again in the evening. And my vanity is a place where I sit to like be creative. The skincare is not like the creative part. And I wanted to feel like I was sitting sort of at my creative space, like my workbench with my makeup around me. And the skincare was taking up so much space on my vanity. It was cluttering my creative space as well. Like, it was cluttering my creative process. And it was also physically cluttering the surface of the vanity. So I finally decided that even though I felt a little weird buying furniture, this was inexpensive enough. I also don't like buying cheapy peepy furniture. I really don't like that, especially at this stage of life. So the fact that I'm living where I'm living and the fact that it was like a cheap thing, those two things gave me pause. And I really thought about it for a long time. But I finally decided that, just for practical purposes, I was going to give it a go. It's inexpensive enough that it would be okay for my budget. If it didn't work out it didn't end up being an amazing thing. It wasn't going to be like, I felt really bad about it. And I really wanted to have the space. So I got it, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I love having my skincare in this little slide out. What I do is I push it under, I roll it under, and you saw how skinny it was. It barely takes up any space underneath the vanity. And then when I'm ready to do my skincare, I roll it out and I can see everything there. And I use the skincare and then I roll it back in. And it has made my space, it's been like the missing piece. It was the missing piece for my vanity to really be like a very pleasant place for me to sit. And weirdly, even though you wouldn't think that it would help me use my skincare more because it's more squirreled away, it's like the process, the ritual of pulling out the cart and then seeing everything and choosing the things from it that I'm going to use. It's like made more space around my skincare routine, and it's encouraged me to use my skincare more. So in every way, that has been a huge hit, and I'm really just excited that I decided to spend some of my budget on that. And speaking of skincare, this is the other thing that I purchased that's not clothes. It's a pack of sheet masks. If you saw my video recapping the year of less stuff, you'll know that I busted through all of my sheet masks. I had so many, pretty much all because of PR. At the beginning of 2020, I gave a bunch of them away. I always would like slip them in when I sent packages out to friends. And I also did use a bunch of them myself. And when I counted and I found out that I didn't have any sheet masks left, it occurred to me that I actually kind of wanted some. I wanted to get some and use them. My skin's been really dry lately. And I was like, I bet if I got a pack of sheet masks, it would encourage me to do more masking and take better care of my skin. And I've always wanted to try this brand. It's MediHeal. My friend Sarah Hubler, she has a YouTube channel, a wonderful YouTube channel. She, a while ago, recommended these to me when I was talking about how like one sheet mask is as good as the next. She sent me a message and she was like, in general, I agree with you, but I feel like the MediHeal masks are actually kind of extraordinary and do stand apart. So I filed that information away, and I've always wanted to try them, but I was not going to go out buying masks to test when I had so many in the backups box and when I had so many that I was trying to get through. When I realized that I had used all of my sheet masks up, I was actually really excited that it made sense for me to make my own choice to buy my own sheet masks myself with my budget at the beginning of the year. So I went ahead and did that. This is like a pack of 10 of, I think, the like top selling MediHeal masks. I've used 2 of them so far, and I do really, really like them. They're lovely. But my main feeling about it is just that I'm excited that I bought my own. So those were like the practical things, the things that I'd been planning on, the things that I'd been expecting to buy. I'd been like excited. I'd seen this posted in the Etsy shop and I'd been excited about it. I, snagged this before it could sell out. And then I was like, okay, now I can just, with the rest of the budget, just kind of shop. Like I didn't have anything that I desperately needed or had my eye on. I was like, now I can just kind of look around and like see if I like anything. I can spend the week as a little bit of a shopping week. And I love that. That's something that I enjoy doing from time to time. The thing that's really important to me is that in terms of spending and in terms of the way I spend my time, I turn off the tap and spend most of the time with the tap off. I don't want my entire life to be buying stuff, spending money, and spending time deciding what I'm going to buy. But I like the fact that I had set aside the time to indulge in that for a week or so, and that is what I proceeded to do. And I just did it all on Poshmark. I really love buying things secondhand. As I said, I really love supporting individuals who are reselling stuff for one reason or another. I like knowing that my money, my pay when I buy a thing that I want is going to like a person who's trying to make a living right now during this pandemic, during this year, and that money is gonna like mean a lot to that person in the way that it doesn't necessarily mean a lot to the corporation when I buy something brand new. So I went to Poshmark and I started like looking around, searching for things that I thought that I might really love and get a lot of use out of in the coming months. And a lot of my thinking was towards like what I wanted to wear on YouTube. And I ended up buying a number of things just because I've been so enjoying putting myself together to like be on camera. And 2 of the things are actually on camera right now. So one of them is this headband. I've been wanting some more like hair things and like headbandy type things. I have a couple that I purchased last year at that sample sale at Donnie, those velvet ones that wrap around. I've really enjoyed wearing them on camera. I like the way that it adds to like a framed up shot, talking heads shot. And I love putting myself together to film. And I do sometimes get like I want to bust out, you know what I mean? I want like a little bit more of a different kind of tool. So it wasn't like I had a headband squarely on my list and come hell or high water, I was going to get a headband with my budget. It wasn't like that. It was just a thing that I had sort of been thinking about. And I actually came across the headband because I was searching for Ulla Johnson. A lot of times when I'm shopping secondhand online, I search for designers whose work I'm familiar with and who I trust to make nice things. I've been thinking about doing a whole video about how I successfully shop online for secondhand things, because I feel like it's a whole separate skill set. Let me know if you'd like to see a video like that. But that was one of my skills for shopping successfully online for secondhand things, is how I came across this. I was searching for Ulla Johnson. I was looking at what was available on Poshmark that's by Ulla Johnson. And when I saw this headband, I was like, it's by Ulla Johnson. It's a headband, which is something I'm looking for. And it's also this, cheetah print, which is something that I really like. And it's in these neutral colors, which is something that I really like. And it was extremely inexpensive because it was being resold. I mean, it was like extremely inexpensive, way lower than the original price. So it checked all of my boxes. I bought it and I couldn't be happier with it. This sweater is a little bit of a different story. And this is another thing that represents one of the tactics that I use for making good decisions when buying secondhand online. This is a sweater that I used to own. And I don't know if I think I might actually have had it back when I started my channel. So you might have seen me wearing the one that I used to own on camera in some of my way early videos, like back at the beginning of 2018. It's from H&M originally, and I actually bought it in store at H&M back before I essentially stopped shopping at fast fashion shops, which I have at this point essentially stopped doing. I was in the mall. It was back before my no-buy year, back when we still lived in Michigan. I was in graduate school. I was on one of my lost in a fog shopping trips in the mall. I was probably going and spending a bunch of money at Sephora, and I saw it hanging in the H&M, and I was like, that's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I was like, that sweater is going to be mine. And so I bought it. I think I bought it in like a super oversized size. I think it's Gucci inspired. I love that it's got these I love that the tiger stripes go all the way down. I love that it is pretty slouchy. This one isn't as oversized on me as my original one was, but I love the fit. I just love everything about it. So I got it back at that time, and it was like my favorite sweater. I loved it so much that I actually bought it for my mom and my sister for Christmas. And it was pretty inexpensive. I mean, it's fast fashion, it's H&M. And it was so fun. I wore it when I came home for Christmas. And then when they opened their presents on Christmas, they were like, it's your same sweater that you've been wearing. So we all have it. But mine, I destroyed it by wearing it, washing it and wearing it and washing it and wearing it constantly. I did get really good use out of it. I mean, I'll say that for it, and I'll say that for myself. It wasn't like it didn't live its life. You know what I mean? I probably wore it 100 times, I lived in it. I love the feel. It's so cozy, it's warm, and I also really love the look. And it got to the point where it was just disgusting. It was really, really pilly. I couldn't wash the wear out of it, It was really falling apart because it's not very well made. This is the problem with fast fashion. Even if you really love something and you're really going to use it and, get good use out of it rather than just getting sick of it right away. Because I wasn't sick of it. I didn't want to get rid of it. I wanted it to be beautiful and new again. But even in that case, loving something so much, because it's not made out of the best quality of materials, and because it's not made the best in terms of construction, I got to the point where even though I wanted to wear it more, I wasn't wearing it anymore because it just looked so bad. I wouldn't wear it out anywhere because it looked really, really old, So it actually occurred to me sometime last year to keep an eye out for it on the resale market. I started kind of checking eBay. I put an eBay alert out for it, and I started checking Poshmark for it every once in a while. I was hoping that if it came up, it would be inexpensive enough that I could purchase it with the little bit of my budget that was left over for most of the year last year. But I never saw it. It never came up, or I would see it come up, but then it would be sold right away, or it wouldn't be in good condition. And I knew from firsthand experience how worn out it could get. So I didn't want to buy it unless it was listed as being in pretty much new condition. And luckily, during my little budgeting 10 days, I was looking on Poshmark, and I just on a whim searched for it, and I found it, and it popped up, and it was $12 or something. I mean, it's it was new at H&M 5 years ago. Whoever bought it hadn't worn it much. It was in not perfect. It wasn't extremely brand new with tags or something, but it was very clearly barely worn. And I snagged it. So I'm really excited, and I plan to wear this one to death, just like I did with the first one. The tip, by the way, I referred to my tip for buying things secondhand successfully online, one of my tips is to buy something that you've like already owned. Like you already know about it. You exactly know everything about it. You know exactly what you're buying. You're always going to be successful with that. So then I went on to purchase 2 more things. I don't want to say that I wouldn't have bought them if I wasn't on YouTube, but I might not have. They are things that I genuinely love on their own merits, but I was definitely motivated by the fact that this is part of what I do in my life. You know what I mean? I was motivated by the way that they would look on camera, which is completely fine, right? It's like I am who I am and I'm living the life that I'm living. So I love it for myself that I spent some of my budget on stuff that I'm sort of considering to be like wardrobe for YouTube. And I've worn both of them on camera already. So one is this top, which is a similar story to this. It's like originally from a fast fashion shop. I would not probably have bought it from Zara. And when I first found out about it, actually, it was currently in store at Zara. I saw Mariah Leonard wearing it in a video and I was like, that's so amazing. And I tracked it down on Zara and then I was just like, I just don't want to buy from Zara. So I let it go at the time. And I think possibly I was inspired by what happened with this, like the fact that I was so successful with repurchasing something off of Poshmark that I had known about from a fast fashion shop from years ago. Maybe that like triggered the memory of this. And I was like, I wonder if I could find that Zara blouse. I wonder if it's made its way to the resale market yet. And so I started looking for it and I actually found it. And it was in my exact size, medium, which is usually what I get in like slouchy things like this. And it was new with tags. And it too was just, I mean, I think it must have been like some less than $15 or something. Like many of these things, I feel like it feels like a little bit of a lot for me, like now that it's gathered all together in terms of number of things, but it didn't add up to all that much money. I mean, I gave myself a little leeway with my budget, but it definitely wasn't, I didn't give myself as much as a quarter of my budget like last year would have been, for example. So it was really, again, absolutely perfect. It was a no-brainer for me. It was like something that I've always wanted, looks beautiful on camera. I'll also definitely be wearing it just in my life, hopefully when life resumes sometime in the future. I don't know if you can tell, but it ties. It's like, it has like these 2 ties that make like a tie at the front and a little knot at the front. So it's like slightly cropped, but it's oversized. So the crop isn't fitted to the waist. It sort of floats on the waist. I love that. And then I was poking around. Something that I really love is matched sets of prints. Like I really love a printed top and a printed bottom that's a matched set. So that's another thing that I was kind of Googling. I was searching on Poshmark. I was like 100% cotton. I'm always looking for like the fabric content and the thing that I want. So I was like looking for a matched set of kind of like wild print that was 100% cotton with like flowers and ruffles and the whole 9 yards. I kind of had that in my mind. Like if I could find something like that, even though I've never seen it in real life, I might take a risk on it if it wasn't too expensive. And here's what I found. This, which I have already worn on camera. I wore this when I was reviewing the Club Nebula palette. So you will have already seen it if you watch most of my videos. If you watched that video, it's very like the thing, you know what I mean? It's very the like ruffled sleeved prairie print kind of thing that's going on right now. A little bit wallpapery, but in colors that work for me and like a print that works for me. I loved wearing it in that video. I really liked how it worked on camera and it really vindicated me like in terms of making these decisions along the lines of what will work well on YouTube. I was like, oh yeah, I'm really glad I had this to wear when I was reviewing that palette and I'll wear it again on camera more and more. But what you guys didn't know, even if you saw it in that video, is that it came with a pair of matching pants. It's a matched set. I haven't worn them together yet, so I don't have any pictures of myself, but I'll put a picture up of somebody wearing the matched set. This was also originally from Zara. And again, some of my strategies are on display here, right? Like I've shopped at Zara before back in the day. I have a general sense of their sizing. I generally know that their pants, even though pants are tough to buy online, that if they're in small, medium, and large sizing, that the medium's probably gonna fit me. So even though it was a risk because I'd never tried this on in person, it wasn't as much of a risk as it would have been if I was buying something from a brand that I had never had experience with, like that I'd never worn in person. But that to me was the biggest risk. Like it could have arrived and it could have absolutely not fit. Like the pants could have fit very poorly. But the fact that I knew that it was 100% cotton, the fact that I have some experience with pants from the brand, and that I just generally know like my body and what fits well, made me feel confident enough to do it. And it all fits perfectly. Like I can't wait to wear it all together. I'll probably try to do a shoot with it or something and like post a picture on Instagram. So that could have been it. That feels to me like about the amount of things I sort of expect to get each time. You know what I mean? It's like, it is a little handful of things, but it's like a good amount for me. It's like a nice little shopping excursion. You know what I mean? Like a good little collection. But after buying those, and this is probably because so many of the things were secondhand, way out of date in terms of when they were new, and, purchased very, very inexpensively, like a number of these secondhand things, I still had kind of a chunk left of the budget I told myself that I could spend. So I considered just not spending it and just saving it. But I also poked around a little bit further, specifically to see if there's something that I might want to acquire, again, from the brand Ulla Johnson, a brand that I really, really like. And I stumbled across something on Poshmark that I wasn't necessarily looking for, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought I might really love to have it. And it's a pair of very, very high-waisted and very wide-legged jeans. I love the idea of a super high-waisted jean because I love wearing cropped tops, but I'm not really all about having my belly out. And I just don't have that many very high-waisted pairs of pants. The one pair that I have, I have two pairs that are really high-waisted and really amazing, and they're quite formal. Like they're things that I would only want to wear to events or, to professional settings. So a pair of really high-waisted pants that's denim that I could really like get dirty, wash and wear, but then I can wear those crops with and wear things like this with. It wasn't, again, as though I was actively in search of it, but when I saw it listed on Poshmark, I was like, actually, that would fit really beautifully into just my quarantine wardrobe, let alone my after pandemic wardrobe. And the measurements were really clear. Again, buying pants online is hard. Buying jeans online is hard. Buying from a brand where you've never worn their pants before, that's risky. But this seller had put incredibly clear measurements. If I can find them, I'll show you. If I can find it, if the listing is still up, I'll show you the picture of what I was looking at when I made my decision. I measured myself. I measured a bunch of different pairs of my pants. I was meticulous. I made sure before I bought them that these pants would fit me. And they do. I'm going to show you. I don't know if you'll be able to really get the full effect. So again, I'll put in a picture from, Ulla Johnson, like it's like a product shot from Ulla Johnson. So you can see how they're supposed to look and how they will look when I can like style them and wear them with heels and stuff like that, because they're really long, which is great because I have really long legs. They're long enough that I'll be able to wear them with heels and like get the full effect. But for now, they're also really nice to wear around the house. I really like how the yoke of the jean comes up really high and sort of like hugs my waist, but it's not so tight that it's like painful or anything. Like they're very, very comfortable and cozy to wear. They work for layering big sweaters over, and they also work for wearing more fitted things and wearing, cropped things. And I've worn them a bunch of times since they've arrived. They're really practical for me right now. And also, it's really lovely to wear something from Ulla Johnson in this casual capacity. I feel like some of the lessons that I learned from the year of less stuff have carried over into this. Like, I don't know if you can tell by my mannerisms around this, or like the things that I ended up buying, or the way that I'm talking about it, or what. But I do feel like I held these purchases all much more lightly than maybe I would have last year. Some of them were a little bit risky. I mean, I actually do think even buying the jeans was a little bit risky. Buying the pants from the floral pants that matched the floral Zara top, a little bit risky. There were other things that I was considering, that I was like weighing the pros and cons of against these, that I decided not to get. But it all just feels like gravy. You know what I mean? It all just feels like I had a fun experience. I'm enjoying the things that I purchased. It's not the end of the world. It's all well within what I can afford because I decided in advance and I didn't go outside of my budget. And that's it. Like, it's just a much less angsty thing than it than it ever has been before. And I feel like that's the progress that I want. You know what I mean? The initial really serious thing that I was dealing with in 2018 was needing to break myself of the habit of overspending. And then going forward from that, I have to like figure out how to live. So not backsliding into overspending, very important. Getting so that I can actually budget and stick to a budget, which in many ways is harder than being on a no-buy, very important. So I've been working on that. And then I feel like the goal beyond that is to have a really positive, happy relationship with the occasional acquisition of things. And I do feel like I succeeded at that this time around. It was all great. And I'll briefly check in about the no-buy, although I might do a whole other video about that. It's going amazingly well. It was a little bit hard to detach from the habit of spending my free time shopping, which is what I was doing during the first week of the year. So there were a couple of days of like detoxing from that. But then after that, it was like no problem. And the cool thing has been that every time I've thought of something that I kind of might want to buy, big or small, sometimes I'm like, oh, I come across something on Instagram and I'm like, oh, I wish I could buy that $300 pair of red shearling mule slippers. And then I'm like, but of course I can't because I'm on a no buy right now. We'll circle back to them later in the year and see, So those are easy. But even little things like, I'm like, maybe I should buy some more hair ties, or maybe I need to get another hand cream. You know what I mean? Like little things that I had gotten in the habit of sort of picking up here and there. Every time a thing like that comes across my mind, I'm like, no, absolutely not. I'm on a no buy. I'll just put it on my list. And then if I really need it, I even ran out of my green color corrector. And that is like 100% a replacement. Like I would be well within my rights, within my rules to place an order from Sephora and buy another green color corrector because it's something that I use every day. And I'm kind of just not bothered. I'm like, I can make it till April and maybe I'll get sick of not having it and replace it. But for the time being, I'm just like, I have like that no buy year spirit in me. It's just like, it's no big deal. I can live without some of the things that I tend to, as a knee-jerk reaction, think that I can't live without. When I'm on a no buy, it's like, when I have that knee-jerk thing of like, I gotta buy it, I gotta replace it, I have to get it, I need to get more, I don't have enough. The automatic response is to be like, just wait until the no buy is over. You can make it. You can make it through these months. You don't actually really need it. So having that be the voice that's always in my head, I'm so delighted. I love her. I love that voice. Happy to have her. Happy to have her here. In a nutshell, seasonal budgeting it's looking like it's really good for me. Like so far, we're only a month in, but so far it's looking to me like this is like possibly going to be my way going forward. Like it might be that this is like where I stick in terms of how I manage my own relationship with buying beautiful things. Again, thank you. Although I think that I already said that. Please give me a thumbs up. Please comment if you have something to say. And please, please, please remember to take extra good care of yourself, because that's what'll make you the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.